and welcome back to the Obviously Complicated podcast. I am your host, as always, Dave Borowski. Joining us, as always, is your co-host, Miss Stevie Sheva, and Corynn Aliyah, one of our favorite stand-up comedians in the game. Corynn, in case people don't watch the whole fucking thing, at the start, we like to tell people where to find us. Let the people know where they can find you.
That's probably a really good idea because we don't know how long this could ramble on. That's good. My Instagram is Corynn, CORYNN _Aliyah. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Cool. I follow her, so if you check me out at Dave Borowski on Instagram or here on YouTube, you can find her. I'll also put her social stuff in the description. Stevie, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at MadeForStevieMovie.
Because you're very clever.
I'm so clever.
Well, this has been a long time coming. I've wanted to have you on the pod for probably the better part of a year. But I talked to you about it, I think back in February when you did the No Offense show.
Yeah.
How did that taping come out for you? Did you use that to submit to Skankfest?
I did, and I posted it. It's on YouTube.
Hell yeah. I had to cut up my Austin's Finest appearance, so it got in that 5 to 8 minute marker.
Oh, nice.
So I didn't want to just send him the whole 10-minute set and then be disqualified because of the length of the video, because that would be a pain in my dick hole.
Mm-hmm.
I did like how they for Skankfest do not require a submission fee.
That's unusual.
Yeah. Usually it's anywhere between $25 to $75 just to submit. Which is insane. They even said in the description, I noticed, and I thank you guys, Skankfest folks. I don't know if we're on yet, but I don't think we will know until the end of the month. But they say, because it's not cool to monetize broke people following their dreams. Yeah, which I think is a really cool precedent to set.
That's nice. Most people.
But I didn't know that was new.
Well, I mean, I don't know
if
like
it would just be the reasonable kind thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I don't know if Skankfest has ever charged a submission fee, but like I know other festivals and other things too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, like funniest person in Austin, they charge.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, also that's just kind of a popularity contest.
Yeah,
really.
that's true. That's true.
I do want to compete next year, but I specifically am going to be like none of my friends come because I don't want to win just because of the popularity contest. I would want to win just because I'm funny.
Wouldn't you want to just win though? I don't.
Now, on principle, I would be fine with losing.
See, normally I would agree with that, but the winner gets the $3,000, so.
Oh, fair enough. I did not realize that there was a cash prize.
I'm gonna tell everybody, hey,
I have my principles, unless there's money involved.
Yeah, just come. Please vote.
Without the comedy scene is treating me lately, I probably won't even get picked to compete. So, yeah. How's the scene been treating you, Corynn? Because I feel like you're on a pretty steady upward climb.
Yeah, I've kind of just been doing. Honestly, since the start of this year, I've been trying to do the non-mainstream thing.
Okay.
And I've still been getting organically booked every now and then.
Okay.
From people that I genuinely know.
Right, like myself and other people that are like good, funny, not like gatekeeper-y, clicky fucks.
Yes,
so
exactly.
That's what you mean by non-mainstream?
Yeah, and
okay.
I'm not, I'm not like kissing anyone's ass. I'm not bowing down to people. Just because I don't need to do that.
Yeah, well, the thing that is insane to me about the Austin scene is it's the largest growing, most up-and-coming scene in the wilds of the world, and it's still so based on dick sucking.
Yeah, that's because I think I've never experienced the scene in another city yet, but like people tell me like people brought all of the behavior from LA and made it and like that's what Austin has turned into, or
the
is
new
turning
LA.
into. Yeah, like that
I've heard
type
that too.
of. I mean, I'm not gonna like sit here and lie that I don't see the unbelievable narcissism and ego in people. I mean, the point is not to name names, but just the general energy and the general atmosphere. It's I mean, I can't like lie and say it's not like filled with delusion and ego and narcissism.
Yeah, well, and also,
well, that's a lot of
what
people.
What is the fucking word where you get your friends hired even if they aren't the best at the job?
They're not qualified, but you just know
Nepotism?
them.
Nepotism. That's the word.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Well, I mean, I think that's in pretty much every scene. That was back in Philly and New York too. I didn't do a lot of stuff in New York. I just did some mics up there. I never did like a paid gig in New York, but in Philly, it was hard to break into because I'm not one of those guys to like I'll blow you like ego wise just to get a spot. I've never been one of those dudes. I like book me on my merit or don't book me. But it was hard to break through that. But you know, once I kind of got like kind of good at it and I actually cared if people liked it, because when I started I didn't give a fuck if anybody liked it. Did not care. I would bomb constantly and I didn't give a shit. I was not there to make the audience laugh. I was there to do what I wanted to do. And I mean, I think I've gotten way better since I shifted out of that, and I'm like, no, actually my job is to make people laugh. So I want to get, you know, as many laughs per minute as I can.
Yeah.
That's sort of my measure for success with comedy is I average between 7 and 9 laughs a minute, which that's pretty fucking good. Like 7 to 9 laughs a minute is solid.
That's good.
And you know, and I see people get booked that will do a 10-minute set and get 3 laughs, and I'm like, ugh, why are you getting booked? Like, you know. But hey, I'm not trying to sip on
That's
hate.
rough. That's rough. Now, oh my gosh.
Yeah, 3 laughs in 10 minutes. Now, you know, different people have different styles, and I understand, like, there's, like, storytelling comics
sort of slow build.
That, like, have a slow build, and then they have this big, giant laugh at the end of it. But, I mean, me and your style is fairly similar. It's a lot of quick one-liners, a lot of surprise, dark
In my opinion, you should be making people laugh within the first minute. That's how I feel.
I agree. You know, I don't think that the whole 1 minute of stand-up comedy on Kill Tony is maybe the greatest way to see if somebody's a good comedian or not.
Right.
But if you can't get a laugh in the first 60 seconds, I don't feel like you.
That's
well, because even if you are a more story, long form based comedian, you have to know that's the format of that show. That's
right.
You have to show people in such a short amount of time that you can be funny.
Yeah.
You don't get a 5-minute build up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every time I've been on, it's just I do 3 or 4 quick jokes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, have you seen a pop in your comedy career since your KT appearances?
Yeah. I will. Yes and no. Like yes, for sure. Like I've gotten a lot of new followers and people that think I'm funny. But I think it's for me. I'm trying my very best to. I'm trying to not compare myself, especially to other females, because I am my own person. Like there is only one me, and
it's a healthy perspective, I think.
Yeah, and you know, a couple of other females that I've gone on, they've like exploded on social media way more, and I'm trying to not like assume that means that they're better than me. Just like voices in my head, I'm trying not to compare myself to that, because social media at the end of the day is like, it's a good platform to express yourself with comedy, but at the end of the day, social media, most of it is just not real.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
That's true. It's all an illusion.
Well, I have a hard time doing the trendy algorithm will blow you up kind of stuff on social media. Just because it feels so inauthentic and and like
Forced.
yeah, and like there's this quality to it that it's like it's so curated and like specifically bent to make you look better than you really are, probably.
It's marketing. You're marketing yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't care for it.
It's not. There's some overlapping skill that you need even outside of social media to be able to get an audience and be like, hey, you should listen to me. I'm funny, but I think that some people struggle because the overlap is not complete. Like you can be a very funny person and.
I just feel like, dude, that's just so exhausting having to keep up with a persona that's not even who you are, and a persona based off of who other people expect you to be.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's so mentally exhausting, and it's like, I'm okay.
yeah.
Do you guys not feel like you kind of have that even outside of social media though, a little bit, like because you're
just with life?
Well, I mean, or on stage. Like, you are, like, that's not entirely you. That is the person that you are showing. That is the person you're speaking through a microphone. Like, you're doing a performance.
Yeah.
Or do you not feel that way?
No, I mean, I do to an extent, because, like, I'm actually, like, not a pedophile or a serial killer, you know what I mean? So, like, when I make jokes where I am a pedophile or a serial killer on stage, I mean, I think it's funny, but, like, I'm obviously not those things, right? Although Tony Cruz busted my balls on this podcast. I was like, because that's not really me. And he was just like, yes, it is, Dave. That's who you are. You think those things are funny. You're a little fucked up, bud. And I was like, shit, he's kind of right.
But it's a persona.
Right, yeah, it is a bit of a persona. Like, my like, cadence and how I speak changes a little bit when I'm on stage.
That's not how, even when you're funny when you're not on stage, unless you're like running bits, that's not how you're funny. It's different.
You guys even know my voice. You know the way I'm talking right now, and then you know the way I talk.
Yeah, when you get on stage, you do it in act. Yeah, but
it's
like
funny.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because I how long have you been doing comedy now?
2 years.
2 years. So I probably saw you almost right when you were starting, probably, right?
Maybe in the year 2023.
Yeah. Yeah. So like,
I was doing a lot of mics back then. I was doing a lot.
I think I saw you the first time at Roscoe's.
Yeah. There was a point in 2023. There was a certain point where I was doing like 10 plus mics a week.
Oh yeah, I mean, like that's about as many as I was doing when I first moved to Austin, and I think that's the highest volume that I've done in the whole now almost 11 years that I've been doing comedy. Because I didn't start like both feet in all the way in. I kind of like slowly eased in. I would say the first like 3 or 4 years I was doing probably like 10 to 20 mics a month.
Okay.
That's kind of how I was when I was. I mean, I've been slacking off.
20 a month is not bad though. A month.
Yeah. So that's it's not. It's a couple a week, maybe. You know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started getting booked at the Raven Lounge in Philly that I was getting like longer than 4 or 5 minutes, and that I was actually able to kind of stretch my legs a little bit and do whatever. That's where I met Lemire Lee. It was at the Raven Lounge.
Okay.
He would do like 10 minutes on Goku and the Transformers.
Which he's gotten. I mean, I didn't see him back then, but from what you've said, he's grown enormously.
So much better. Oh my god. I mean, I would say me too.
Picked up in the scene here, which I think he fully deserves. He's very funny,
absolutely.
very nice guy.
Yeah, he's such a sweetheart. He's the best. But yeah, I mean, he would do 10 minutes on the Transformers and just eat a bag of dicks on stage, because it was a black room and he's black, but but he's talking about like some weed shit, you know what I mean? And like, then I would do 10 minutes on how I'm a pedophile, and I just would eat a bag of dicks on stage.
Did you guys bond over bombing?
Yeah, that's where we bonded over.
That's cute.
And he would be like, we got 4 beers for performing. That was what they paid us with. We got 4 draft beers, and we would just pound our 4 beers after both eating shit on stage, and then he'd be like, let's go smoke a joint. We'd smoke a joint in the alley right outside the Ravens Lounge and be like, why the fuck are we trying to do comedy? We're not good at this. Like, we would joke about it. I ran into him at Roscoe's when I was bartending. He was there to perform, and he was just like, "What the fuck are you doing in Texas?" I was like, "What the fuck are you doing in Texas?" He's like, "The Matt and Shane podcast moved here." I was like, "Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah. All right, cool. What are you doing here?" I'm trying to do this comedy thing seriously." So, but you said that you had a couple things that you wanted to talk about that you're like passionate about.
Yeah, I
Let's
did.
get into it.
It's not about comedy.
That's okay. I mean, like, there's
We usually open with
a little bit of like an introduction of who you are,
Absolutely.
like why we're having you on and stuff,
Absolutely.
and then we talked about fucking conspiracy theories,
Yeah.
media, like video games, movies, TV shows, whatever the fuck, and then we always end on a segment we call Deep Boys, which is a hat tip to Newsboys. Shout out Zach Kreger and R.I.P. Trevor Moore. My favorite comic of all time.
Whitest Kids You Know.
You know about the Whitest Kids?
You would probably like.
Exactly.
You would. Love them.
Sketch comedy group.
From the mid 2000s.
Yeah, 2000s.
They are.
They've got some really challenging material. It's very funny.
Yeah. They're
Like-
a segment.
I was watching. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
you're good.
off. Josh was actually showing me that a popular, like, old skits from a Chappelle show.
Mm-hmm.
The one where, oh my gosh, dude. The ones that, like, come up in memes and reels today. The one where he was pretending to be a blind black man and he was like,
Yeah. Who was like
N-words,
Yeah.
Jews, homosexuals. You remember
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
that skit I'm talking about?
the blind black racist. Yeah, who's
Classic.
part of the
Yeah.
the clan or whatever.
Yeah.
Also challenging.
Yeah, very challenging. But yeah,
Yeah.
it came out roughly around the same time or in the wake of Chappelle's show. I think Chappelle's show came out a year or so, a year or two before Whitest Kids. But there's a sketch. It's not really a sketch. It's just Trevor Moore, my favorite comic of all time, talking to the camera, and he's like, it's illegal to say I want to kill the president of the United States of America. It's illegal. You can't say it. It's
Extremely illegal.
Actually,
Very
one of
illegal.
the only words that you can, one of the only sentences you're not allowed to say. I can say it right now because I'm letting you know that it's illegal to say it. But you're not allowed to say, I want to kill the president of the United States of America. Can't say it. Very illegal. Very illegal. Even more illegal is to say the best way to kill the president of the United States would be using a mortar launcher from the building of a Rockefeller Center. Can't say that either. That's insane. Insanely illegal. Even more illegal would be to show a diagram of it. Insanely, horribly illegal. Completely and utterly felonious.
All I know is that you just said Rockefeller, and I got a lot to say about that person. Or
You
no,
should check them out.
Family. Yeah.
Family.
Yeah, whole
You'd
family.
you'd like it, I think.
Yeah.
Just one of the
Especially
13 bloodlines that run everything.
Yeah, the
6 kitty
Yeah,
companies
that's-
run
she
everything.
has no
Yeah,
context,
I
but
figured we were going to get into conspiracy theories with Corynn on the pod, which I'm very
I'm gonna send
excited
you that
about.
one.
I'm a huge fan of conspiracy theories.
What does it mean to you to be a fan of conspiracy theories? Because I know, but I don't know if the audience
would know.
of whatever, like 2 people that we have,
Well,
thank you,
I
would understand necessarily what that means.
if you
it's just interesting, or
the
you believe them,
verbiage,
like, yeah, go.
the verbiage of I'm a fan of conspiracy theories, I think just implies that you find them entertaining.
That's
I
would agree.
I
I'm in
also
the same camp.
believe many of them, but there's some that I think are probably not true, but I still think they're fun. like
Hollow Earth.
like Hollow Earth or Flat Earth, I think is really entertaining. I'm not a flat earther. I think that's banana sauce, but I do find it funny.
We gotta send those guys to space just so they can look.
I have such an interesting
Yeah, but-
opinion about conspiracy theories.
But the thing is if you sent a flat earther to space, they'd be like, okay, cool, bro. When do I get off the ride? You know what I mean? Because they're just convinced.
Do you
of it.
believe Katy Perry went to space?
I don't know, but I think it's fun to speculate about.
Do you believe Katy Perry's a woman?
Yeah, I think she's probably a lady.
What?
I think she's probably a lady.
Wait, okay, so hold on.
Russell Brand was all up in that pussy, so like.
Hold on. Okay, so Dave is a fan of conspiracies, and you are just like can of worms all the way open.
Dropping some bombs on us. I love it. Yes, I think that Katy Perry is a woman. What are you like full she's an android, or are you full like
a reptile?
She's a reptile.
Neither.
You just think she's a man?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh yeah, unpack that for us, please.
I think 95% of Hollywood is transgender.
Whoa.
Ah, interesting. This is a new one for me.
Why?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what?
I mean, I know the Michelle Obama thing.
To what purpose? Like, what? Sorry, to what end? What is the point? Why?
Like, what's the purpose?
Yeah.
Deception.
Like normalizing transgenderisms, or
yeah, not just that, but the entire purpose of the existence of Hollywood is to deceive you. That's the whole point of why it even exists. The film industry, television, movies, celebrity, like they're there to deceive you.
To what end?
Probably. Well.
Yeah, let's get into it.
I guess I can start. I guess I can really say what I believe. Like,
yeah.
I think they're there to lead you down a path to hell.
Oh, okay.
I think that these people. So a lot of people idolize celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to hold these people as an idol.
They are deified almost. You're right.
I don't even.
Yeah, I mean, they're. I would say they're at minimum they're like, the royal family of America.
Oh yeah.
At minimum.
And they're there to push certain agendas and to program and deceive the public.
Okay.
With like propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Really heavy propaganda. I mean, I think a lot of people started to wake up to that when this COVID stuff started happening.
Mm.
And then the election. Oh my gosh, the election. The amount of stupid celebrities that went on social media and said, "We need to vote this way." Okay, who even are you to tell us how to vote? Like, you don't struggle the way we do.
Just think of Ricky Gervais being like, we don't care. All you, like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, none of you have, like, worked a normal job.
Yeah.
You were in movies since you were a child. You've never lived a normal life. So just come up here, think whatever, God, shut the fuck up, thank your manager, and leave.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
You don't care.
Dude, you have never struggled a day in your life to pay for groceries. You have never struggled a day in your life. How, on what planet do you think your deluded self believes that you can relate to us?
Yeah.
That's delusion.
I think you're right about the COVID time. I think was a lot of people got disillusioned because it was so tone deaf. People were like, "This is not the experience that we're having right now at all."
Singing,
it's like
Imagine
the illusion is shattered. Like because I think it's comforting for a lot of people to have that illusion, like to sort of what's it called when you're like it feels like you're friends with somebody but you're really not, like that, like it's comforting to people, but it's not real. It's a comforting. It's hollow.
It's a comforting lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
lies are very comforting.
If I ran into like
a parasocial relationship, that's what
parasocial. That is correct. Yeah. No, if I ran into like Asmongold on the streets, I wouldn't be like, "Dude, we're friends." I'd be like, "Big fan, Zach, love bones," and then I'd leave him alone because like he doesn't fucking know me from Adam. So, or like anybody that like when I've run into comedians that I really admire, I'm not like, "Hey, let me hold you hostage and talk your ear off like we're best friends." I'm like, "Hey, big fan, love bones."
I think for the most part, people that have had some fame or recognition would appreciate that outside of the like abject narcissists,
right?
Who want that sort of praise, worshipful sort of attention.
Yeah, they want to be worshipped.
But the people who are like kind of ordinary, like I don't know, like Keanu Reeves, would probably appreciate just being talked to like a person.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the only I guess, celebrity that has insisted on hanging out with me after I said hi to them is Duncan Trussell. And that's just
Trussell. He's great.
well, that's just because I was like, hey, you introduced me to my magic mentor. And he was like, oh, you know Louvre? You know Jason Louvre? And I was like, yeah, I took his classes. You know, he's a good guy. I read his books. And he was like, dude, I gotta tell you some shit. Can I buy you a beer? And we like hung out.
And that's cool. That was a conversation based on interest, not on
his celebrity. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Thanks Papa Rogan. He's probably the biggest reason why Duncan Trussell is as famous as he is, because they're best buds, and he says some crazy shit on Joe Rogan's podcast. He was nice too when I met him. He came out to the Vulcan Gas Company to say hi to me. Didn't have to. Yeah. It was like my first Kill Tony appearance. It was like in Austin for 10 days. I don't know if I ever told you that, but
Was it at Vulcan?
Mm-hmm. It was back when Kill Tony was at Vulcan, and I was hanging out at the after party or whatever that they used to have at Vulcan, and Red Band was like, Dave, go downstairs to the second floor bar, because it was on the third floor balcony, and I was like, why? And he was like, just fucking trust me. And I was like, okay. And I was like, went down, and I was like, just hold my beer, like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I standing here? And then this little short, muscly dude came up and tapped me on the shoulder and was like, hey, just heard you did well, you're new in town, I just want to say hi. I'm Joe. And I was like, I fucking know who you are, man. Holy shit.
Oh, you geeked out real hard?
Well, I didn't expect to have Joe Rogan just walk up to me and shake my hand. He probably doesn't even fucking remember me. But, like, yeah, it was very weird. But he was nice. But I wasn't just like, oh my god, let me, like, blow you right now. You know?
How many years ago was this?
3?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like 3 years ago. It was right after my first appearance. So it was March 2022.
Okay, so that a year before Mothership opened.
Yeah.
That's pretty much a year.
Yeah, it was right around that time.
Who's this guy?
That's Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson.
Grayson.
And he's so handsome.
Is he wearing a bandana?
Yeah.
I love that.
He's wearing a little black flag bandana. He's my little punk rock cat.
I think he just woke up from a nap. He looked sleepy.
I'm so jealous of cats.
What, just getting to sleep like 12 hours a day?
Sleep
plus?
and then eat and then just the audacity to like pet me, scratch me. Like it's like you're already a freeloader and you're just here, man.
It seems so great. It sounds nice.
Yeah, that's Corynn. She's really cool.
We still love you for some reason.
Well,
how could you not? I don't know.
They do improve our mental health pretty much.
Haven't met a nice cat.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and also their purring has healing effects.
I wish I could say the same for babies.
Oh yeah, it'll heal your bones. What?
Like, hey, your baby won't shut the hell up. What if they say, oh, have you ever met a nice baby? I'm like, I don't. They're all like that. I don't.
They're like little aliens.
Keep that. No. I was watching. Earlier, I was watching one of the best birth control advertisements. It was a woman telling us the cost of giving birth in a hospital in the United States. She broke down her hospital bill of like the cost of like labor, medicine. So first of all, just to have like the room to give birth in a hospital is $10,000 by itself.
Jesus H Christ.
And then it was crazy. She broke it all down. I'm like, this is the best. That is
birth control
I've ever seen.
Although I do think it's also, to me, it's a louder, as someone who does want to have kids eventually, that's an indictment to me of our healthcare system.
You're not wrong about that at all.
Like the fact that that's
the United States health. Let's just call it that for the sake of. But it's not healthcare. We all know that.
Right.
Anyone who's not remotely stupid, anyway. We are the biggest joke on the planet when it comes to our healthcare. Like, we are the biggest joke. We are the laughing stock in the United States.
Yeah, we have like third world level.
I think everyone should know that by now.
What should be a first world country? Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Exactly.
I'm gonna get some more
water. And when I tell people that the U.S. is slowly turning into a third world country because of stuff like our food, our healthcare, do we not see what's happening to this country? It's like we're going down.
It's bad.
And I get like the whole Maha thing, but question to it.
Okay.
Why did it take us this long? That's my question. Like, the trend within the last election has been seed oils, food dyes, artificial this, artificial that. Why did it take us this long to wake up to that?
Because we were fat and happy.
I was gonna say,
That's my question.
I think money. I think corporate greed.
Corporate greed, corporate
absolutely.
interest.
Because what is the incentive to have people actually be happy and healthy?
Mm-hmm.
You don't. It doesn't matter. You need people not dying, but
just
sick enough that they need your money and addicted to your whatever you're peddling. Yeah, it's money.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think, I mean,
which is awful.
I was pretty young when 9/11 happened, but I remember watching it on the TV, being like, "That's not right."
The Jews? Oh,
the Jews. I don't know, maybe at least some of them probably. But yeah, I mean, I remember watching it on TV, being like, "That's crazy. That buildings don't fall like that from getting hit by an airplane. Almost certainly. That's nuts." That's
controlled demolition.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that one I don't even think is a conspiracy theory.
Absolutely.
At this point. I think it's just kind of been
the amount of witnesses that have said that
there's explosions.
They heard it.
Bombs planted in the building like hours before, the day before, and then why was the news already there before the planes ever hit?
Right.
Like CNN already had a camera crew set up, and you're just telling me what?
Well, and it's been mostly scrubbed off the internet except for the film Zeitgeist, which I think came out in 2006 or whatever, that collected all of the footage. But the one shot that is the most telling is you can see explosions coming out in a particular pattern that are obviously
of a building being demolished from the inside.
Yeah. And which is and to me it's just that's the one that's we all know that.
No brainer,
right? Yeah.
I wonder what percentage of millennials, because when it first, I remember when it happened, my dad was one of the early people who was do you guys see what's going on? And he would make me watch all these videos and stuff. But I was a little kid, and at the time, that was very we don't talk about that. You are unpatriotic and disrespecting the people who died and all of this stuff at the time. And then I feel just sort of slowly over the years, it's drifted, and now it's it's a joke.
Common knowledge.
It's almost not even controversial, at least among I would say people around our age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, if you talk to somebody who's boomer generation.
My Ukrainian bro, Dima, my good friend who's from Ukraine, I asked him, I was like, does the rest of the world, is it just common knowledge that, America did 9/11 to itself? And he was like, yeah. I was like,
yeah.
Cool, that's all I need to hear.
When you said that, at the time it happened, no one spoke against it, no one dare said, oh, this was not what they said it was.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of reminds me of people trying to say anything else about the Holocaust, other than the narrative that we've been told.
Right.
In other words, our whole lives we have just been told that, okay, 6 million Jews died. But if you dare question it, type of thing, it's
interesting.
You're anti-Semitic. Kind of that's just what I was thinking.
Interesting. You know what's wild to me, and I do a bit about it, but it's 100% true, is that 8 million Polish people were murdered during World War II.
Yeah, that you
and
do have a
no one talks about it.
Yeah.
No one fucking talks about it at all. And my bit is, that's 2 million more than the ones that bitch about it all the fucking time. But but it's true, you know what I mean? Poland in particular was massively genocided, and about half of it was Hitler coming in and killing Jews and killing people that were hiding Jews. And then when Hitler got pushed out by the Russians, Stalin came in and anybody that was a lawyer, a doctor, an artist, anybody that affected Polish culture, he just executed all of them.
This is crazy. This just proves how much we don't know about our own history.
Well, I mean, it's written by the victors, you know?
Because dude, it's just so wild, like, and you know, something that I've thought about a lot,
Mm-hmm.
like, how much everything has been distorted here since 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about 20 to 30 years down the road. How do you think that they would write about the period of like 2020 through in textbooks?
Depends on who's writing the books.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How do you think kids in the future will learn about this time period?
That's interesting. Yeah, because it's
Think
wild.
Like all the propaganda about our history.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of propaganda and like the news is all lies. Like.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know about all of it. I think they keep a little bit of truth in there to help the rest of it go down. A little bit of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Vast majority is like just it's a lot of propaganda.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, like, you know, I don't know how you feel about Trump or the current administration, but you know, I was never a Trump guy, but like, I've always been like a facts guy and a policy guy. Like, you know, I'm not a huge political person. I'm an anarchist. I say burn it all to the fucking ground. Let me and my neighbors figure it out. You know, just looking at the data, I never thought in the world I'd be like, what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing is actually fucking awesome. Like, I never thought in the world I'd have that opinion. You know, because I definitely lean left. I was a Bernie bro, as it were. But that was another big thing for me. So like, I had 9/11. I was like, oh, the government's full of shit. So I never trusted him from there on out. And then I liked Obama, and then I was like, but he said he was going to do this thing, didn't do any of it, and did all of the shit that already was like kind of in the narrative and going around anyway.
Just got an Amber Alert.
So did I.
Pflugerville?
Too far.
Nobody gives a shit about Pflugerville.
Except for Taiwan.
Oh yeah.
That fucking
That's the
motherfucker.
one part thing about Pflugerville that'll actually make me go there. Other than that.
Yeah. I mean, have you done the spot? Have you gone to his place?
Yeah, absolutely. I go there whenever I can. I go to his place.
I
wish it wasn't so
that.
far.
I know.
It's really, really fun.
I know.
It's a fun show.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I ever go up there, though. Like, who gives a shit about Pflugerville?
I mean, I don't care about it other than that.
What is there? Like,
I don't know. People, I guess. I assume. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, so 9/11, like I was like, all right. I'm already like, the government's full of shit. They're obviously doing it. So then I started like diving into like conspiracy theories and stuff. Then, you know, you would love Trevor Moore because a lot of his comedy is about this stuff. Like he has a whole song that he does called Kitty History.
Don't spoil it for her. I'm gonna send it to her later. He told me.
I was gonna say we might as well just watch it after this, but it's basically like it's the exact same history as our history, but everyone's a kitten, and then he just goes through like all of the corrupt, horrible nonsense. Like, okay. But they're just kittens, and somehow that makes it more palatable or something. I don't know. It's really
That's
funny.
Cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I already kind of was going down that like sort of rabbit hole, and then Bernie getting pushed out by the DNC so Hillary Clinton could run was another huge thing where I was like, oh fuck these assholes. And then COVID 2020, like that insanity, you know, while Donald Trump was still in office, they were like, the vaccine is not good. It's coming out too quick. It's wrong. Don't do it. The moment Joe Biden got in office, they were like, we love the vaccine. We're so pro the vaccine. It's like, I remember 3 months ago when you guys were like, this is bullshit. Don't take it. And it's just to push a narrative. And I remember losing friends because I refused to get vaccinated for COVID.
Well, yeah, and I'm pretty sure, you know, I had family who tried to threaten like to never see me again. I'm like, cool, bye. Wow. I couldn't care less.
Yeah, and then now no one's talking about that.
You expect me to sit up here and lie and say that that it hasn't killed people and it isn't killing people.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a big reason because I was like,
I've
you know,
seen
all right, I'll get it, whatever. Like,
testimonies.
I just want to go back to work. I just want to live a normal life. I want to be able to do stand up and bartend. And then one of my friends who I worked with at a restaurant a couple years before COVID happened, she's 28, was a black woman that I worked with. She was great, and she died from her second shot. And I was like, ooh. Let me look into this a little bit more before I just.
But that'll never be talked about. That'll never be talked about.
Not on mainstream media.
Thousands and thousands of people who have died from the vaccine, and the indoctrination that people are still pro-vaccine is just so incredible to me. It's
wild.
Just, I don't even have words for it. Like, would people still get it if they were like, hey, we're gonna inject you with heavy metals, aluminum, mercury, arsenic, lead, an aborted baby fetal tissue, and all this stuff? Would you still be pro-vax?
I mean, fair.
Like,
I mean, it's pretty metal.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of metal in it.
The same stuff they spray on us.
Oh, you're a believer of chemtrails?
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Chemtrails is not a conspiracy theory.
It's
That's
not.
a real thing. I mean,
yeah.
As far as what they're comprised of and what they're doing and what their aim is that part is a conspiracy. But as far as like that they're actually doing it, that it has been done, and that it is occasionally done,
they're actually doing
for whatever certain stated purposes. That's not that's you can find that.
That's fact.
That is there's not or should not be controversy there. That is a provable thing. As far as the rest of it, that's where the conspiracy part is. I don't know.
I agree with that. The conspiracy is not that they're doing it, because
they're doing
they are doing it.
Yeah.
Right. But like how often, to what end, what's the stuff? That's the part where.
Right. That's where it gets dicey.
I think they do it more than we would think.
Probably. Yeah, I would assume that as well.
I can't tell you how pissed off I get when I go outside and I try to get sun, and then an hour or two later, it's suddenly, where's the sun? Like, you know.
Interesting.
There was a video of a woman.
That's the stated purpose is weather controlled cloud seeding.
Yeah. There was a woman, I don't remember in what state or where it was, but she was collecting, I think this is illegal, collecting rainwater samples, and she was testing them, and she found a very, very high content of numerous heavy metals, and arsenic, and mercury, and lead, and all these metals in the rainwater that she collected from
just the sky.
The chemtrail, yeah.
Oh wow, it's interesting. I that's one that I find interesting, but I haven't like delved into it enough to like have a good argument one way or the other. I know that like Steve was saying, I know that it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, to what end? Who knows? But it's interesting. There's a couple of ones that I'm pretty sure aren't real, but I find them entertaining. Like, if you heard about there was a conspiracy theory about why COVID happened, and it was that
there's a lot of those.
Well, yeah,
there's a lot of those.
One of my favorites, and I don't believe that it's true, but I do think it's entertaining, is that the Chinese government did it to get rid of all the single males, because like for whatever reason it like disproportionately affected like Chinese men.
To what end?
Because there's so many of them because of the one-child policy. Everybody wanted a boy.
Right.
So that there's thousands and thousands, millions and millions of just single men that are unremarkable.
That's crazy.
that are like, they call them unproductive eaters. That they don't really have a skill set. They're unremarkable. There's whole cities in China, and this is real. This part is not a theory. It's real. That these single unremarkable men just go to, and there's like 4 or 5 very old women that just take care of all of them. And there's like tens of thousands of like just unremarkable
sweet ladies. Goodness gracious.
And they just take care of them because they're like big man-child. And what the theory is that the Chinese government's like, we gotta fucking get rid of all these people. They're not breeding, they're not producing, they're not making anything, they're unproductive, they're just eating our food. We gotta take these fucking guys out.
Wow.
So I don't think it's true, but that is a a real thing that is in China because as a result of the one-child policy.
I actually haven't heard of that one.
Yeah,
I've heard of numerous other ones, but
it's interesting.
Really, I'm just gonna make one quick statement back to the chemtrails. I think the purpose of that honestly just goes back into they just want us sick. That's what I think.
Oh, interesting.
They just want us sick.
That I think is 100% true.
That's why they poison our food. Yeah. Our water has fluoride, and our food is full of poison. Our water is full of poison, and then the air we breathe has to be poison. So everything's poison, and it just have to keep us sick. And I think it's just so they can keep us sick and weak enough to where we can easily be manipulated and controlled. Easier?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with the premise of that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, thank God for RFK, because he's like, in a box of Cheerios, if you get it in Europe, it has 5 ingredients. If you get it in America, it has 37.
Yeah, and glyphosate.
Why is that? And nobody can tell them why. Well, it's because they know why, but they don't want to say it. But
of course. They're not stupid.
I
know.
I find that really interesting.
I would say I think not 100% of that is sinister. Just to say, I'm just devil's advocating a little bit here, but so for instance, a lot of the foods that we have are fortified with iron or B vitamins. Vitamin C, calcium,
so
stuff like that,
bad, you can ship across the
which
country.
may have been well intended. However, the forms of those vitamins and minerals they're not high quality. They're not generally very bioavailable. So how useful that even is, where it may be well intended, I don't know. But it's obviously missing the mark. It's obviously not working the way that it should. What?
No, I just was like, this is the funniest podcast we've ever done.
I want to bring up something. I really want to bring up something.
Please.
Do you guys know, and this has actually openly been discussed and openly been said, so I don't think it's crazy to say. Do you guys know that a good portion of our food has human DNA in it?
No, I did not know that. That's insane.
From incidental,
Really?
That would be from handling and such, right? It must be.
I mean, I've heard it talked about pretty openly.
Because if somebody makes you a dish in a restaurant,
that's gonna have
clean hands are better than gloves as far as for
safety. Yeah,
right.
And so skin cells
but you're gonna
get in there.
Right. So I mean that has to be
at least a portion of
it.
That has to be.
Like hot dogs, how hot dogs are made, I think, and I was shocked that one of the mainstream news sources was reporting this. I'm like, why would they be telling us that? They were like, oh yeah, commercial brand hot dogs in stores have human DNA. I'm like, interesting.
Does it soylent green?
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. And then that brings me to something else I want to bring up to you guys.
Please.
Have you guys watched this new commercial? It's a KFC commercial that they just came out with. So KFC just did this new commercial. And it was pretty creepy, but to me, they were just showing you in your face. I'll describe the premise of the commercial.
Okay.
And this was aired on television and everywhere. KFC, it was a group of people in the jungle and they were bringing this guy, carrying him in the river, and I guess you could say that they baptized this guy in the river and he came out a piece of fried chicken. This was a KFC commercial. I'm not joking. You guys didn't see this?
I have not seen
this. Are you serious?
I did.
Do you mind if I try to look for it?
That's fine.
You can if you want to. We're not gonna be able to share it to the audience, but that is insane.
I'll find it and I'll send it to you later.
That's perfect. Yeah,
I have to
I'll
believe
send it to you later.
that that's just poor art direction choice
or goofy marketing, so you'll remember it.
I think they're trying to tell you something See your face.
I love that is how you feel about it, despite it being true or not. I find it fun that you're like, you're eating people when you go to KFC. I'm here for it.
Tastes like chicken.
Well,
Whatever.
it's not just KFC.
Well, fair enough. Here's a really interesting question because you're fairly religious, right? Or at least partially.
I'm a Christian.
Yeah, I thought we've talked about it, and that blew my mind because of your stand-up act. Because I was like, what?
Yeah.
You believe in Jesus?
Yeah.
And then you do that shit on stage? That's wild to me. Does that mean you're pro-life?
I mean, straightforward answer, yes.
Okay. Is that like across the board, no exceptions?
Yes.
So even in cases of like rape or incest, you still think that that's a child and they should be protected?
Yes.
Interesting.
What about if it's a danger to the mother?
That's the other big one.
Sorry, we're
Yeah,
hard
absolutely.
question.
No. I love having discussions about it. And I love that we're able to have like a civil discussion and not
Well, yeah, for sure.
scream at each other because
Oh yeah, that's insane.
it's all you know.
Discourse is important,
Yeah.
even and especially with people you don't agree with.
Absolutely.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. I think it's better to talk about these things rationally and respectfully than just
You know, you're
crash
wrong.
out about it. Yeah.
Fuck you, you're wrong. Yeah, no. So first, I personally believe that I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that, especially in the United States, I believe that the vast majority of abortions that are performed are for complete selfish reasons.
Okay.
And I completely understand how a lot of women want to justify it with the rape and the incest argument, but I just know for a fact, because first of all, I've heard numerous doctors talk about it. I've heard from doctors who have performed abortions that, let's just say out of every 1,000 abortions that women would come in, out of those 1,000, the amount that would actually be actual rape or actual incest, I gotta be blunt with you, and this number is overshooting, probably like less than 100.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I've seen the
Even
same.
less than that,
I've seen the same kind of numbers,
if I'm being
and
honest.
I definitely think that I fall into. I'm definitely pro-life. I'm probably more pro-life than Stevie, and certainly more than you. I definitely fall into the category that I think that it's a human life at the moment of conception, because at the moment you have a unique DNA strand, that's a human life.
Yeah.
A child isn't even viable to live on their own until they're about 7 years old. So the whole like viable outside of the womb thing doesn't really hold water for me. I am 100% for bodily sovereignty, though. And that's part of the reason why I didn't support vaccine mandates. What was wild to me is that people that were more pro-life than me, they're like, you can do it all up to the moment of birth. Or like partial birth abortions, like that far left with it. I can't quite stomach that extremeness of it. However, I do and will always support 100% without any compromise bodily sovereignty. So the moment,
like autonomy, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So like the moment that people that were that pro-abortion, I don't even think you're pro-choice at that point. I think you're just pro-abortion. Then you also say that you have to get the vaccine. I think that's a compromise.
I like how you said that you're not even pro-choice, you're pro-abortion. Yeah,
right. If you're thinking like as the baby comes out, we can stab it with scissors in the back of the neck, and that's totally okay and should be legal.
Yeah,
you're pro-abortion at that point. You're not even pro-choice. So,
right.
But then people that had that strong of a stance over bodily sovereignty, which at that point I don't even think it's your body; it's out of you already. That are like, but you have to get the vaccine and you can't do anything about it. the hypocrisy of that was so blatant to me that I was like, then you aren't actually pro-choice because you are removing my ability to choose what I do with my own body.
That is very hypocritical. Yeah, and
Yeah.
a lot of people were comparing those two things 2 to 3 years ago when the vaccines were. I cannot tell you how many numerous dozens and dozens of social media posts I was seeing from both sides. From both sides saying, my body, my choice, but not with vaccines. Or just, I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go.
Right, and so
yeah,
that doesn't hold any water for me.
yeah.
But because I am 100% pro bodily sovereignty, autonomy, I don't think it's the government's role to tell a woman that she has to hand over her body to a child she didn't want. You know what I mean? And I get the pro-life argument because if you believe that that is a baby that's being murdered, of course it's going to upset you. I think that it's insane to just be like, whatever, if you think it's murder, just let me do it, you don't get one. I think that that argument doesn't hold any water for me either. But I don't think it's the government's right to tell anyone what they should do with their body. So for me, that's why I'm pro-choice.
Yeah.
Is it why are you coming in here and telling this woman what she can and cannot do with her body? Also, like the idea of something gestating in your body that you don't want is like a horror movie to me. You know what I mean? So like, I still think that it should never have been legal or illegal. I think that it should be a medical issue. And I do think that abortion should be only when it's necessary for the health of the mother, in cases of rape, incest, and very early on in the pregnancy, as early as you can do it if you have to, and rare. Like I think that women and probably men should get birth control the moment they turn 18 from the government. That's the solution, I think, is that the moment you have the ability, and everyone hates condoms, but give them condoms, give them the pill, give men fucking sperm blockers, as long as it's safe for the body, which, you know, Stevie has a lot of opinions about this specific.
I have a whole thing about that. It makes me real mad.
But there's ways to get around it, and the level that it is done, I think, is excessive. And, you know, it should be, but like the thing is also, I know women that have had them. I've paid for them, because I didn't want to use a condom. So like, I get it, and that I think is not my proudest moment, and I think that it's better to be more responsible than that. But I do think just completely making it illegal it's going to be a horror movie experience for a lot of women.
So first of all, I will say, like, I agree making them illegal won't stop women from doing it, because
and then it's just going to get grosser and weirder. Yeah.
Women have still done that, whether it's legal or illegal. But I want to chime in about like birth control, because I have a personal experience with that, and I think that me sharing this with people is like important.
Okay.
This is something that happened to me, and I think that this is very important to say.
Sure.
It might help other women. So
yeah, please take my platform of 300.
When I was about 19 years old, when I was a teenager, I experienced acne. And when I was just younger, like, it was a huge insecurity that I've had in my young teenage life. And like throughout my days of middle school and high school, you would have never recognized me, because like I had this face full of acne. I had the pizza face. I would pound my face with makeup every single morning to even think it's acceptable to go to school and have people look at my face. So anyway, I got in treatment with a dermatologist for quite a while. We resorted to, I don't know how many numerous creams, supplements, pills, until finally, when nothing worked, like, my dermatologist is like, okay, well, this seems to be hormonal, let's just put you on the pill. and see if that clears up your acne. And this is a common teenage girl experience.
Yep, I have
teenage girls who know nothing about birth control and know nothing about what it does to their body. So I was on this pill for 2 months, and my face cleared up. So the little girl in me was happy, like, oh my gosh, like, but then like one day
Manager's movie just creating a horror sound right at the perfect moment.
That was funny. Then I woke up one day and had found that I developed a blood clot in my leg.
Oh wow.
And I woke up screaming and crying. I couldn't even walk, I couldn't even move, and
oh yikes.
Like my entire leg was purple, and it's like, what is going on? Like I was like crying. My mom had to carry me into the hospital, and we're like, what the hell is going on? They do an ultrasound of my leg. She's like, you have a massive blood clot in your leg. If you would have came in any sooner, this probably would have went to your heart and killed you.
Oh wow.
And
Jesus
so we did a whole thing, and they're like, yeah, you might have had this from the birth control. And I was like, I was 19. That's still a kid. And I was like, what the fuck? My brain couldn't process what was going on. And initially my mom was against me going on birth control. But she knew that I wasn't using it to have sex or anything. I just wanted a clear face, and I nearly died. And so long story short, 19, how old am I now? That was like 6, 7 years ago, and like I have to take blood thinners like every single day.
Oh wow.
And
so it's like it's had like lasting effects.
Yeah, I have to take blood thinners until probably indefinitely, and or I will get another clot. And they put this like stent in it was right here in my groin. It was literally right here. And
right where all the hormones and stuff are. That makes sense. Okay.
They had to put a metal stent to keep like my vein open. And
yikes, dude. That's crazy. I'm sorry that you went through that.
And obviously like I can't ever touch any form of hormonal birth control again. Like if I ever do, the next time I probably ever do end up being with somebody, I guess it depends. Like if I'm trying to have a child, then I probably won't use protection or anything, but it's just like made me rethink so many things. Like the fact that we do this to so many young girls and so many young women. Like we just hand them a pill that's a band-aid for a problem. And the fact that the way we do medicine in the Western world, in the United States, is like, here's a pill for everything. So here's a band-aid to cover up the bigger problem.
Interesting, yeah.
The root cause is never addressed, but that's just how we treat people when we do medicine in the U.S. It's crazy. And like, birth control has lasting effects on a woman's body that are horrible, and they're not talked about. It depletes so many minerals, and it depletes so many things inside of your body. I've even seen things that says that women who are on the pill long term, it actually changes and alters your hormones so much that it changes who you're attracted to.
That is true.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you're attracted to.
When I was 19 years old, I was dating a girl who was on birth control. She let her prescription lapse and hated the shit out of me all of a sudden. She was like, she was obsessed with me, and then the moment her birth control lapsed and she wasn't on it anymore, she couldn't fucking stand me. Like her hormones changed. I smelled different to her, she said. Like, which is wild.
And that should tell you, like, I mean, it's
the same thing that also happens when you get pregnant too, is that like you're very attracted to your partner the moment, well, not always, but often, the moment a woman becomes pregnant, her hormones changed, and she doesn't want to be around the person that impregnated her. And I think that maybe, we're getting real dark with it, evolutionarily, that probably that man either raped her to cause her to get pregnant, or would like kill her or the baby to not have the responsibility. When we're talking like old like women are like cave people. So there's studies about it, and there's I think it's still technically theory because I don't know how you could prove it without a time machine. But
hypothesis.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, yeah.
Interesting.
The shift in the hormone was to protect the child and the mother herself from whoever it was that impregnated her, which is really interesting to think about. Maybe that's less spiritual and more scientific.
It's
or
pretty
clinical,
grim.
That is interesting, but
I can't remember the comic's name. There's this black comic that lives in London now, but he was American, and he was like, my girlfriend almost broke up with me because I was thinking the other day, and I was just like lost in thought, staring off. And she was like, "What are you thinking about?" And he was like, "You don't want to know." She was like, "No, I really want to know what your thoughts are." And he's like, "Okay, I'll tell you. Do you think rape was necessary to keep the species alive back in cave people era? Like maybe that's we weren't bonking women over and dragging them into the cave. Do you think we would have just, gone extinct? Is that why women kind of like rough? Because it's just evolutionary programmed into their brains? He's like, she almost broke up with me. I just had an honest thought. It's a funny bit, but it's wild to think about.
I think that's an oversimplification of human sexuality to such a degree.
But it's a bit, you know what I mean?
No.
He's just a comic thinking
Well, I know, but you were like, oh, it's actually really, it's like, yeah, okay.
It's interesting
Thought
to think
experiment,
about.
Sure.
But yeah, I just think it's a funny bit too.
Okay.
But to sum all that up, I'm against giving women hormonal birth control.
How do you feel about copper IUDs?
Yeah, I was going to say there's non-hormonal.
There's not a lot of non-hormonal options for women.
Mm-hmm.
There are. I will just briefly. This also can. Well, it's not useful to anybody until it gets
past clinical trials.
Yes. I can't remember what it's called right now, but there is basically a form of male birth control that is essentially they put a small blockage in the vas deferens, on the way to the testes, so that the sperm can't go through it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is minimally invasive, extremely low risk, low cost, easily reversible. They started studying that I think over a decade ago, and it's just been
What the hell happened?
Locked in.
It's not a priority, I guess.
See,
for
this is what pisses.
I don't know. It's
this
insane.
is really what pisses me off. Is that
It's been in human trials for years and years and years, and
I looked it up and something
every
like
now and
23
then-
years.
every now and then they'll be like, "Oh, it's maybe soon," and then it's just it's
Fucking
give
like
me it
clinical
tomorrow,
hell.
please.
For no good reason.
I want to dump loads in bitches without
So they
having
gaslight
the
us.
consequence.
they gaslight us about it?
Fuck them.
Are vasectomies reversible? Are they
They are,
reversible?
They can be.
It's
not,
more
it's not
more
100%.
difficult reversal than what I'm talking about, which is basically it's just like a little.
They put a
thing,
little
but,
blocker in
yeah.
there. Yeah. But instead
vasectomies are
we're poisoning young girls.
Poisoning women. That's just so. I hate that so much. I'm so anti-birth control.
But what about? How do you feel about to Stevie's point, the non-hormonal options, the stuff that's not going to fuck with your hormones, it's just going to keep you from getting pregnant.
I don't know if I agree with an IUD.
Something you might have to look into.
Why?
Thing
Because
called
of medical risk, or
that, and probably. See, all of this has a moral thing for me because
you're
it's
Christian.
where my moral compass goes.
Mm-hmm.
So, birth control, morally for me, I'm just no. Because for the majority of people, when you bring up birth control, it kind of just implies that you would just be, most of the time, casual sex.
promiscuous.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of,
Well,
yeah.
what if you're in a committed relationship, or what if you're married and you just don't want to have a kid?
You're not financially prepared for it. There's other things, and I'm a huge fan of
promiscuity. To be very frank, I think it's awesome. Big fan of sluts. I think we need more of them. I think that's the only shame about sluts is we don't have enough. But I am also not a Christian. I think that do whatever you believe in makes you happy. I'm not anti-Christian or anything. I'm not a Christian hater, as it were. I had some pretty horrible things happen to me as a child that were done to me by Christians. So
yeah, of course, and that's a whole other thing.
yeah. So like, I don't think that they were true Christians or real Christians or whatever. My parents are some of the good ones. Blah blah blah. But I don't know. I think that the whole slut and sex shaming thing is a shame. All right, that wasn't that good. The camera will be jealous.
Wow, it got really quiet in here for a second. Man, you were expecting something
That
different.
one hit the floor so hard. Yes, that one was not great. But hey, what can you do? So I get that that's a moral thing for certain people. I think it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, like, there's many scientific studies that have a lot of great evidence that humans are not monogamous. Humans are not built for it.
There is also evidence to the contrary.
Yeah, those are the exceptions to the rule.
I think what he meant to say, maybe some people believe men are not monogamous.
No, that is not what I meant to say. In fact, we are probably the closest to bonobos as far as sexuality goes. We're actually closer to bonobos than almost any other primate. And bonobos have sex to say hi, they have sex to say goodbye, they're super free about it.
Wait, do you believe in evolution?
To an extent.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't think that evolution is where all life came from without any other thing going on. I believe in what I think is called micro evolution rather than macro evolution. So I don't think that we all came from one little amoeba in like a pond. They got struck by lightning and then we have what? Go pee.
Okay.
I do think that like you can see evolution within species, but I don't think that we all came from like one origin, like cell that then over billions and billions of years became all this stuff. It doesn't practically make sense to me. So yeah, and I'm not an atheist, so I don't believe that there is no God or whatever.
Are you agnostic?
I'm a pagan, I guess you would say, probably.
A pagan.
Yeah. So I don't believe in like a monotheistic Judeo-Christian God. I believe that it's a little bit more ethereal and kind of slippery than that. I believe you're God, I'm God. Everybody, we're all part of a collective consciousness that is God. We're all kind of born into this weird physical world, which some people would call a simulation. I wouldn't call it a simulation. Although that's,
I think that's very new age.
I feel like that's almost accurate, because I think that this is a training ground to improve collective consciousness, or what people would call God. But I don't think that it's some dude with a beard in the sky. You know what I mean? And I don't necessarily believe in heaven and hell. I think there's degrees of existence, and it's a little bit more ethereal than that.
So
I don't know, take acid.
If you don't believe in so where do you think humans go after they die?
I think that if you didn't learn what you were supposed to learn, you probably are like born into another body, and you have to like learn a new thing that if you didn't accomplish a collective consciousness thing. I think
you cannot call that reincarnation if you want, but that's what that is.
I was about to say that sounded like you were describing reincarnation.
Maybe
well,
not the
I don't
traditional
think
model.
that it's I don't think it's like you come back as a fly if you did bad stuff in your life. Like the super traditional Hindu version of reincarnation, I don't 100% prescribe to, or subscribe to rather. But I do think that there's something to be said for you decided to be born into this body. You chose to live this life. You already plotted out the struggles you were going to have so that you could overcome them and learn something and then return to collective consciousness, or God, as some people would call it, so that gives collective consciousness or God a new experience, a new thing that to learn, I think that we're all just God, if you will, manifest in the physical world to have a new experience, and because the universe is not orderly, it's chaos but constant improvement, and that's just when you can look and see it. Like there's homeless people on the street. The government's lying to you. They're putting poison in our food. That's not orderly and godly. There's children being trafficked for sex and pedophilia and all this stuff. So like this omniscient, loving, caring God, that concept doesn't hold water for me either, because then why would he do all of this to us? But if like the idea of collective consciousness going through all this insanity, crazy chaos to try to constantly improve and become better and more honed, and that's where you see like microevolution and stuff happen. That rings way more true and likely to me than there's just a jealous asshole in the sky that is like, oh yeah, I mean, love me instead of the abusive bullshit that you had to go through. Can't you control everything? Why the fuck are you raping kids then? Like that doesn't hold water to me. So I think that the breath of goodness and evil is all wrapped up in one thing, and that is collective consciousness, or I would say God is fractured like if you took a piece of string cheese, right? Like those little string cheese, and you pulled all that mozzarella strands all the way out. You're like one of those strands. You came from the string cheese, you're going to return to the string cheese. And all of the breath of human goodness, righteousness, honor, love, and also greed, lust, anger, all these things, they're all part of the same thing. And that's sort of how I see it, which is, I don't know, maybe a little bit more ethereal and nuanced, and maybe a little new agey.
I was gonna say, it kind of sounds like you're describing God.
Well, yeah, but like in like a Judeo-Christian tradition of God, it's like he knows everything, he can see anything, he can intervene and stop at any moment, but he doesn't. So you love him more, and it's like, ew, that's like a jealous, abusive boyfriend. Like,
I'm agnostic, so
if you knew a friend that their boyfriend treated you, like allowed you to be raped and beat and all this stuff, and then just so you would love him more, you'd be like, get the fuck out of that relationship. That is unhealthy as hell. But if it's God, it's fine. And like that just doesn't hold water for me. And that could just because of like a trauma response from the abuse that I suffered. But I'm willing to concede that may be part of it.
Trauma makes lots of trauma responses. It's natural.
Yeah, I'm just the whole thing that like what's the George Carlin bit?
I love George Carlin.
Is it God knows, was aware that your parents were going to beat you. God was aware that all this stuff was going to happen. He put you in a world that's full of death and murder and rape and pedophilia, but he loves you. It's like, right, yeah. That's not how you treat somebody you love. That's insane. But I do also get the whole, like, if I held a gun to your head and forced you to get married to me so I could take care of you for the rest of your life, would that be love? No, you have to have the choice. I understand the whole free will argument, but it still just feels gross and kind of toxic to me. The framing of it, at least within Christianity. I say all that not to be mean or diminish your beliefs. Just that's where I'm coming from with it. If that makes sense.
That was a lot of expression.
He can really go. He can just go.
Yeah.
He'll just keep going.
So can I. I'm the same type of person with like my beliefs and my expressions.
Sure.
So, yeah.
I can hang with it, but I would just rather not. I don't need to. Shut my mouth.
Why? We're having a discussion. Although I do think this is probably a decent time to do a break and then smoke a cigarette.
See? There we go.
And then, well, we should actually probably try to be funny on the second half.
See, me not weighing in set us up perfectly. This is great content. Pause.
All right. The next part will probably come out in about a week. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll reintroduce yourself, and we'll see you guys in a second.